Hey everybody, welcome to this video for business, math, and calculators. This is the video for module 41, and in this module we are going to be talking about various calculations associated with property taxes. So with that, let's jump into a few sample problems and we'll go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and chat about some problems involving property taxes. So let's go ahead and just jump into our first sample problem. And in this problem, we are basically looking at how to calculate the amount of property tax that's due on a home. And so the problem says this: the property tax rate in the community is 3.98%. A home with a market value of $210,000 has an assessed value of $203,000. How much annual property tax is due on the home? So just a couple of things to point out in this problem. Number one, the tax rate varies from community to community. So it just kind of depends on where you live, the community that you're in, the state that you live in. All of those things kind of have a factor on what that particular tax rate happens to be. The other thing I want to point out is there are two values for the home here. There's the market value and then there's the assessed value. Kind of a little bit different thing. The market value refers to what you would likely be expected to be able to sell your home for if you decide to sell the home or if you're buying the home. The assessed value is a little bit different because that's used in determining the property tax that is owed on that particular home. And again, the assessed value can be calculated and be determined differently depending on the community that you live in, the state that you live in, the different rules that might surround how that's determined. So just be aware that oftentimes the market value, what you can actually sell the home for, and the assessed value oftentimes are not exactly the same. So just be aware of that. So for our purposes, what we need to remember is that when you calculate the property tax that's due on the home for a year, use the assessed value. All right. Other than that, it's really a basic, straightforward multiplication problem. You're going to take the tax rate written in decimal form times the assessed value of the home. So again, just make sure you convert the percentage into a decimal appropriately by moving the decimal point 2 spaces. Then go ahead and multiply, and that should give you the annual amount of tax that's due on the home. And there you go. Now, typically, depending on the situation, a lot of times people who, especially if they are buying a home or in the process of paying off a mortgage, oftentimes they do monthly installments where they pay a monthly portion of this towards reaching that total amount. Depends on your situation, whether you have to pay it in one chunk, one lump sum when property taxes are due, or if you're paying it off through part of your mortgage payment that you're paying each month. It just kind of depends. Long story short, just multiply the percentage times the assessed value, and that'll tell you how much property tax is due for that particular year. All right, let's shift gears here a little bit. And what we're going to talk about in this problem is how communities determine what the tax rate is for their community. And it's based on two things. The first part is the budget that the village needs or the town needs to accommodate for in terms of the services that they provide and the things that they have to pay for. They also need to know what the total assessed value of all the property in the town is worth, what it all assesses at. Okay? Once you have those two values, then you can figure out what the property tax rate is. Now in this problem, the budget that the town needs to account for is $21,550,000. So that's how much they have to be able to afford, I guess, to pay for, again, all the services and different things that they have to account for in order to run the town. The assessed value, again, of all properties, so you take all the assessed values of the individual homes and businesses and things like that, add them all up. For this particular town, it's $402 million in assessed value. Once you have those two values, basically what you do to calculate them is you divide. You take the budgeted amount, how much they need to generate, and you divide that by the assessed value, and that's going to tell you what the tax rate is. So the $21,550,000 divided by the $402 million gets us a decimal of 0.0536. Convert that into a percentage by moving the decimal point 2 spaces to the right. And so for this particular community, the tax rate would be around 5.36%. And there you go. So again, a fairly simple calculation. It's just a matter of knowing how to put the numbers together to get that ultimate percentage for the tax rate for the town in this case. All right, let's do one more problem, or this problem actually has a couple of pieces to it. So we're going to give you some different information, some specific information about a home, the assessment rate, and then the budget and the assessed value for the town that this home is located in. We're going to calculate three things. The first thing we're going to do is calculate the assessed value of the home. Now again, we are looking at in the problem, the number they give you is the market value. Again, that's what the house is likely to sell for, or how much you have to spend to purchase the home. In this particular situation, the assessment rate, they figure out the assessed value by doing 95% of that market value. All right. So what we want to do to calculate the assessed value, again, is basically a straight multiplication. We're going to take the assessment rate, which is 95% or 0.95. We're going to multiply that by the market value. And that gives us then what the town is going to be considering as the assessed value of the home. And again, it's the assessed value that's going to determine how much property tax is owed on this particular home. Okay. So the assessed value of the home in this situation is $284,050. All right, now let's go to the next step. Let's figure out what the tax rate is for the community. Again, this is a repeat of the problem we just did a couple of slides ago, and that is taking the total budget for the community, so what they need to generate in terms of revenue to run the town, and we're going to divide that by the total assessed value of all the property in the community. So in this particular situation, the budget is $92 million. The total assessed value is $1,593,500,000. We're going to divide those values out, and we get to a tax rate of 5.77%. So that's going to be the property tax rate that's going to be used for this community. Once you've got the tax rate, we can do one more thing. We can now calculate the property tax due on our particular home here that we just got done looking at the assessed value of. And again, to do that, you take the tax rate for the community and you multiply that by the assessed value, not the market value, but the assessed value. So we're going to take 5.77% written as a decimal, multiply that by the assessed value we calculated in part A, and that's going to tell us the amount of tax that's due on the home. And in this case, it's a little over $16,000. And there we go. There is our calculation for the property tax that is due on this home based on the assessed value and the property tax rate for the community. All right, there you go. There's a few problems illustrating calculations associated with the property tax for a community and the property tax associated with owning a home or some sort of other business or property. Hopefully these examples just gave you some insight as to how you put the numbers together to complete the various calculations. If you have any questions on things, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm always happy to help out wherever I can, so reach out at any point with your questions. With that, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.